In Australia, 10% of the population have an Asian background. But when it comes to the senior executives in the listed companies of the Australian Stock Exchange, only 1.5% are of Asian background. Does the bamboo ceiling exist? I will let you guys think about it. Hi guys, and this is Jeff, and today let's talk about workplace racism. And that is something that I really felt so strongly about because I had first-hand experience. At first I really didn't want to make a video on this, but something happened that triggered me so much. So actually one of my Asian friends, he came to me and then he was saying things like, "Oh, I wish I'm white so that my life at X company would be so much easier." And when I heard this, I was shocked and angered, and that really broke my heart because no one should ever felt inadequate just because of where they came from or their skin color. And because of that, I knew that there are so many people out there who are facing the same problem, so that made me want to make this video and talk about this issue. And for those who are experiencing this, maybe I don't know you, but I really feel you and I want to support you. Just a disclaimer here, I'm not trying to say that all Aussies are racist or certain groups of people in Australia are racist. I'm not trying to generalize everyone. And to be honest, the people that I will talk about probably only consist of 0.3% of the people that I've come across. So that is a really small portion of people, but since I worked with them before and they were higher up in the corporate hierarchy, so when it comes to dealing with this kind of situations, it could be pretty tricky. I really want to bring this one up because racism in 2018 is getting more and more subtle, so that it makes it even less noticeable than before. Hence, even though they are being discriminated against, it makes it difficult for them to speak up because they can't really get a concrete evidence to report these incidents to relevant authorities. Anyway, I can share some of my racism experience that I've had in my previous workplaces, and I'm probably gonna start with the pretty blatant one. This first incident happened during a farewell speech of one of my colleagues, and all the staff members were around. So when it comes to my turn to say goodbye, I told him, this is not a goodbye because I actually missed that person. I actually got a little bit emotional so that what I was saying was heard by a lot of the staff members. And one of the members from senior management actually overheard what I was saying. So he basically just made fun of what I was saying. And then he yelled out to everyone and say, "Jeff, did you say he's not a good guy?" I was a little bit embarrassed and I was a little bit shocked because obviously I pronounced my words pretty clearly and he was just basically making fun of my accent. I know I don't have a perfect Aussie accent, but that doesn't mean he should make fun of me. I was actually offended by this comment because obviously that wasn't what I was saying and he was trying to misinterpret my words on purpose. But since I didn't really want to make a scene, I just chose to walk away from the situation. And the second incident happened when I came back from a holiday. I've been pranked by one of my colleagues and then on my desk I found a pair of chopsticks stuck into an apple. So if you guys are not familiar with the symbolism of this, basically in China or in Japan, people would only stick their chopstick upright to honor the dead people. So you can imagine I was incredibly upset when I saw this on my desk because tension was a bit high in the company. So when I saw this, obviously my first thought would be, do they actually want me to disappear in this company so that they put this on my desk as a message? When I reported this incident to the management team, they basically just brushed it off and said, "Oh, this was only coincidental," and the colleague wasn't aware of the symbolism behind it. Regardless of whether this incident was coincidental or not, the company has the responsibility to make sure people from all cultural backgrounds feel comfortable working there. But from the way that they are handling this case, I can see that this kind of cultural differences are not valued nor celebrated in the company because there is lack of education behind this. But this kind of once-off incidents didn't really have a huge impact on me as compared to how I was consistently bullied by my supervisors just because of the cultural differences that I've demonstrated. So basically what happened was I found out that I became the topic of gossips within the company where I was consistently being referred as arrogant. Probably that is because of how I was brought up, because I was from Hong Kong and people around me tend to be really direct when it comes to the things that they like, they don't like. So when it comes to these kind of areas, I'm not afraid to express myself, and understandable that some of the colleagues might find a little bit too much. But at the same time, I've seen some other colleagues who have a European background. When they're showing this kind of qualities, they are actually appreciated and welcome in the company. I was shocked by how I was treated so differently as compared to my colleagues, and it was a horrible feeling when you found out that your colleagues secretly didn't appreciate your presence in the company at all. But the deal breaker that made me realize something was really wrong was that I was consistently pushed away from the opportunities for me to grow within the company, in which my supervisors would deliberately and repeatedly exclude me from working on the biggest projects. Despite over the years I've proved my capability within the company, and the clients have repeatedly praised on the quality of work that I've produced. Again, I sensed something was wrong because when a new team member from a different cultural background came into the team, for some reason, all the opportunities were presented to him instead, even though I was the one who worked on the account for a longer period, and obviously I knew the client's needs better. And because of all these events that happened, I really felt like my growth within the company was significantly hindered by those who were in power. And to be honest, it was quite a toxic environment to work for. So I decided to quit my job and spell out everything to HR. However, as I talked to my mentor in the company, she actually stopped me from doing that, and the advice that she gave me was, don't burn bridges because that is gonna come back to you. This is a small industry. And as you can imagine, I'm handling all this stress and I wasn't in the best mental state. So I've decided not to put my complaints forward just to avoid troubles in my new job. And if I could choose again, I can tell you I would definitely push forward with the complaints, because the idea of these people who are still out there and potentially they will continue to treat ethnic minority the same way that they did really angered me. It is not just because they're abusing their power and bullying people just because of their cultural background, but by doing this, they are also killing one's bright future and their drive to excel. And I'm sure if you're experiencing workplace racism at the moment, it is really easy to fall into the mental trap of, why did this happen to me? My opportunities are shut down because of these people. And my advice would be, no matter what happened, don't lose your confidence, because there is nothing wrong with you at all. If these people had to pick on you just because of your cultural background, that actually means they feel inadequate about themselves and they have to reflect this inadequacy towards other people. That's why they did the things that they do. And remember, if that happens, even though some people might say, oh, it is pointless to report to HR because they are gonna help the people in power anyway. But my suggestion would be, still report this incident to relevant authorities, because this is actually the only way that we could stop this kind of behavior. And despite what happened, just open your heart to new people that you are meeting and treat them as an individual rather than preoccupying stereotypes towards a certain group. Because putting our cultural differences and skin colors aside, we are essentially the same, and there are still so many people out there who have a great heart, who would like to spread happiness around. So connect with these people and don't lose hope at all, and keep your chin up, because you deserve to chase your dreams and to be happy too. Feel free to leave a comment down below and talk about your experience. I'll see you guys next time.